F. Matthias Alexander. I want to speak a little bit about F. Matthias Alexander. He's an Australian Shakespearean actor, and he lost his voice and couldn't speak as he went on stage. And he spent several months trying to figure out this disastrous happening for his income. And he developed out of that the Alexander technique, which is widely used by singers and actors in New York and San Francisco. And it's a wonderful technique of liberating oneself. And the essential strategy in the technique is to do something like Reich did. Instead of talking about armoring, he was talking more about clenching, kind of tensing. So we each have kind of characteristic patterns where we do more efforting and tension in our movements than we have to. And those tensions often cause dysfunctions. So the Alexander teacher, there's some wonderful people in San Francisco who do this. They will work with you where you do a familiar movement like getting up out of a chair and sitting down, and they stop you in midair. And you see, oh, God, I'm doing twice as much work as I need to. And so in that halting in midair with someone's sensitive hands on you or sensitive words, you notice, oh, I'm really doing dysfunctional things here. So this pause, this inhibition of carrying through a habitual movement is kind of core of his work. He wrote an essay in 1946 after Hiroshima and Nagasaki about the bomb. And he said, we've got to stop. The whole world needs to just stop for about 5 minutes and say, what are we doing here? And I've thought about that essay a lot over the years, that as a culture, not just as an individual, as a culture, we have gotten involved in these policies that have a life of their own for various reasons, which you all can take a look at, that are just self-destructive, big time self-destructive. Nuclear power, and now the virus. So the question is, many other things, flying too many airplanes. This now is forced upon us. We're now in a place where a pause has been descended on us. And the way Alexander talks about that is a one way of thinking about how creative it could be. If we just stop and wonder about all the things we do in our lives that are now gone, that maybe don't need to be there at all. Maybe they shouldn't be there at all. Maybe it would be a lot better if they weren't. And it's in that moment that the body begins to teach itself. We don't need to have lessons about our stress. We find them right there, right in front of us. So having said those things, I wanted to say a little bit about Hanlon. Eugene Hanlon will be saying more about it as we get closer to the final paper in the end of the course. Hanlon, to me, is the person who better understands the relation between language and the body than anybody I know. And the way he puts it is, there is the language where we grab words from the outside to say something that we think about. And then there's the world of language that comes from inside. The baby says, "Bah!" The baby says, the little child says, I need help. The person in need says, help me. So there's what Hanlon argued is that in our particular culture, the proportion of language to the world of intricacy in bodily experience are way out of balance. Way over here are this huge world of words that's going on all the time, everything, blah, 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 blah. And then over here is the silent world of self-reflection, self-inquiry, not put into words, waiting for some sense to come. And Jenlin's work, which she calls focusing, came out of trying to help people stay in that world longer so that the words that eventually come out are meaningful, so that a focusing partner will it's a very democratic system. It's a little bit like 12-step. You have a partner who helps you address a problem. Say you're having a relationship problem, and you come in and you say, I'm having this problem with my partner, and the problem is that they don't listen to me. Well, no, that's not quite it. It's and your partner helps you stay in that without having to talk so fast, so that you allow words to come like gestures and movement that carry you forward into understanding how you can maneuver your way through this particular problem. So I bring up Jenlin because, for two reasons. First of all, he is brilliant to me at articulating the importance of nurturing the world of silence within, and how hard that is in our particular culture. It's different in Japan. So I taught in Japan for many years. Japan is a culture of silence. People there need to be helped to articulate because they are, and there's ways of doing it. They become very articulate once they're helped, but they need the help to do that. We're on the other end of the spectrum in the United States, where the flood of language is just endless. And I've asked many of you in your little papers to just stop it. Stop writing so much. Just settle into one or two paragraphs and go deeper without all of the words. And the academic world is flooded with too many words, in my opinion. So one of the reasons that I've mentioned Jenlin is to, because we're in this graduate program that's dealing so much with words. I mean, the essence of doctoral studies is learning how to articulate what you know in a thoughtful and critical way, to make space for yourself in the world of teaching and writing and joining the large community of people trying to figure out the world using a lot of words, hopefully important words. The other thing is relevant to this moment of grace that we're in, where we're forced. The old words are failing. The old words are disorienting. So there's a lot of time to bathe ourselves in silence and pay attention to what comes forward. So that's my little reflection for this strange, strange time in our lives, our communal lives.